Hi, this is Chuck Oliver with this week's Hidden Wealth Solution Review. Well, the Joint Committee on Taxation, the tax scorekeeper of Washington, has come out and said that 78 to 90% of the go after unpaid taxes are going to come from those making less than $200,000 a year. Folks, taxes are a concern, but there's other concerns. The media is not telling people this, but it's now rumored that over 15 million people have lost their jobs this year. It doesn't take much to look around, as many of you have stated to me, and I've seen in my own communities, right? Staple restaurants that have been around for decades upon decades that have been forced to go out of bankruptcy. Bidenomics is bankrupting America, folks. Don't let it bankrupt your retirement. One of the things I talk about in Hidden Wealth Radio this weekend is a client by the name of Gail. Gail is single, and she was really concerned about how these whole required minimum distributions work, right? RMDs. This is where the government forces you and I out of money that we haven't paid taxes on yet, and typically force us at a time that we don't have a lot of deductions, which makes us pay a higher tax rate to get the money out. And if we don't take it out, there's a 25% penalty starting next year. Well, in this example, which was really interesting, the client hadn't heard of it. One strategy that I was teaching called a QCD, a qualified charitable distribution. And now, with that strategy alone, this client will never pay taxes on her required minimum distributions. In fact, that required minimum distribution will not force more of her Social Security to be taxed or higher Medicare premium penalties. And I've talked to many of you, they're saying, look, we're getting hammered on these penalties because our required distribution is so high, it's forcing us to do this. Well, a couple other things came out this week I'll leave you with. One is we had two records this week. Number one, we had the record of the single biggest month drop in I think months/decades. The market for a lot of clients we've been meeting has cost their portfolios to lose over 10%. 10% in basically 1 month. But just this past week, we had the single biggest point drop since March. Folks, we had a report that just came out recently on top of the Fed ruling to not raise interest rates that has wreaked havoc in our markets. The report came out, which is a Dalbar study. It's an independent third party that shows that over the last 30 years, the average investor return has been 4.3%, and that's before fees and taxes. But we also had the Fed not raise rates, which is supposed to be good news, and it caused the markets to get hammered. And the other thing that I can't imagine anybody taking anything positive away from was this ridiculous debate this past week that basically showed what adults acting like playground school children, fighting over a kickball. Folks, our country's in trouble. And the only way we're going to be able to protect ourselves is to take the bull by the horns and do it ourselves. Let me teach you this coming Tuesday at retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com, what your friends and neighbors have been able to put in place that will do three things that I think are vital if we want to not allow Bidenomics to ruin retirement. Number one, how to avoid unnecessary taxation. Number two, how to make sure that you're avoiding unnecessary inflation, but making sure you're earning returns that exceed or keep pace with inflation, not just now at this high inflation level, but I'm talking long term so that your income can continue to go up as the cost of living is clearly going to go up. And for some time, remember, these interest rates, these high interest rates, they're projecting are going to stay higher longer. That's why the market got hammered after the Fed didn't raise rates, but then put that little comment in. And then lastly, how do you avoid all this market deterioration? People losing 7, 8, 10% in 1 month. Folks, I'll teach you indexing this Tuesday. You work hard for your money. Go to retirementprotected.com, retirementprotected.com, and learn what you can do to remove unnecessary taxation. Make sure you have returns that keep pace and ideally exceed inflation, and how to avoid this traditional big box store brokerage market deterioration. We had a client that said, we talked to one of the big box store brokerages, Chuck, like you talk about, and they had no solution on taxes. They wanted to sustain bonds, which have just gotten hammered. And they said they don't really have any guaranteed income solutions. Folks, I'm going to talk to you about guaranteed income that's not only guaranteed to not lose to the market, but it's also guaranteed to be tax-free. And it also has guarantees that allow the income to go up every year so that you can't outlive your lifestyle, let alone your income. Folks, you work hard for your money. Retirementprotected.com, retirementprotected.com. Let's get to work.